All right, so let me see if I can, hey everybody, whoops, LinkedIn, that's fine. Remove LinkedIn, that's fine, I don't care. Only care about YouTube. Boom. All right. So everybody, welcome back to one of our last sessions of this speaking. We are into the last 3 hours of Dina's next attempt. She's taking a bit of a break. She's well over 6,000 kicks at this point. So you can take a bit of time here. Oh, here we go. I actually do have some scrolls here. Add to stream. We got one more two more coaches. Look at this. This is gonna be like our biggest group. Hi everybody. Jasmine, Sasha, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Driving
Hey,
is a great idea.
That's normal. That's what she does.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna switch us back to broadcast style.
LA traffic. I was trying to make it, but you know.
It happens. That's really it. That's honestly what LA is known for. More than anything, I think. TV shows, traffic. It's good. It's a good combination. So this is actually Marissa and Megan and I were. Yeah. Oh, look at that! That's a nice hairstyle. Is that?
He doesn't have a style. It's just his hair. Okay. Anyways, moving on.
So this is our last sort of big session of the. We lost Jazz, but that's okay. This is our last big dialogue of the World Record of 2020, where Dina is taking on the penalty world record and is so far smashed it 6 times over. She's still got 3 hours to go, and that has been a really awesome to be a part of. And everybody's talks and contributions today have been really helpful. And this is our opportunity to actually talk to some coaches. We have an amazing lineup right now. Coaches with different experience in different countries, different teams, all connected to Equal Playing Field in this great network, because actually everyone on this stream was part of the original team, right? So when we started off with Kilimanjaro, everyone on this call was a part of making that mission happen. Marissa got involved in back of house and then had to, being the good coach that she is, dedicated herself to her team and gave up her spot on Kili so that she could take the team to the national championship. That's what coaches do, the world of sacrifice. Megan Kinnaman, who's here from Rice University, also got one of those surprise phone calls. I think it was I gave you 10 days notice, a week?
Yeah, I think so. I think 10 days.
Yeah, 10 days. It's like, hey, Megan, you don't know me. How do you feel about climbing Kilimanjaro with a bunch of crazy women who are going to set a world record? And, you said yes. It was an immediate moment. I knew I was going to like you, and that your talent on the field. And I was like, oh, she's a go-getter. She's an adventurer. This is going to be great. And both Jasmine and Sasha were sort of part of the build-up story as well. We found them through one of our film media gurus, Tamara Rosenfeld, and we got to pick up on their stories a bit earlier. And friends knew each other in the LA space, and they both have a lot of crossover, so that's pretty fun. Our last sort of heavy hitting conversations. We're going to start off with Kilimanjaro and sort of like phase of Kilimanjaro as a first step, right? The step that got us to hitting these new stages in our own paths. And I think that's one of the things that really came out of let me get to Dina's record. I'm going to put it on silent because I think it's definitely throwing off everything that's happening on my side of the camera. But if you guys would actually have a chance to sort of introduce yourself slightly. A lot of you have already popped up again, but to talk about what happens after Kili, right? Use that as sort of a first step. Jasmine, how about you go first?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's just so great to see everybody. um, like you said, I know that first Kilimanjaro experience was definitely one of a kind, very unique, and I think we will forever have that tie. And Kilimanjaro, after that, it really
There's
inspired
BB.
me
There's
actually
my
to
mom.
get back
Everyone
into
else didn't
coaching.
know. My mom was also on Kilimanjaro. She doesn't realize she's talking to the world right now, but that's okay.
I'm out of here, but I just had to wait.
Yeah.
That's okay. We love you, BB.
I love you guys.
I know that's like team
Sorry for the
team
interruption,
mom
Jack.
right there.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all good. No, but actually, I had actually taken a break from coaching prior to Kilimanjaro, so it was definitely really cool that after that I ended up, coaching for an all girls club here in Hollywood. um, I ended up, well, doing a lot of other kind of cool things too, as far as doing a TEDx talk and things of that nature. But it really did, though, spark that idea of like, man, I really found a team, and it felt so good
Mhm.
to not be the only crazy one because we were all crazy. And that was something that was really beautiful. And so, yeah, after Killy, I definitely actually started coaching a lot more. And it kind of reawakened that passion to think, what could I do in that space? And how could
Mhm.
I create an impact on actually leading a team? So,
Mhm.
yeah, I did that. And my son, who was, oh my gosh, wow, 4 is at the time is almost 8 now. And he was 4 or 5 years old, almost 8 now. And so just to see how far we've come together just as a mom, and the things that I've been able to instill in him has also been really great. But yeah, Kilimanjaro has definitely afforded me the opportunity to get connected to other organizations that are very women driven and female driven.
Mhm.
So I've done a lot of collaborations with different brands and things like that. But ultimately, from Killy, I think the biggest one was, just getting back into the coaching game.
Yeah. Nice.
Wow.
Nice. Sasha, how about you?
What do you mean? How about me? I didn't. I actually
What
didn't
I want to
actually.
know is what happened from Killy. Like the mountain was this insane. However, I don't guess 2 weeks of our lives that then we sort of were re-released into the world. And the last couple of years, you've taken huge strides, changed jobs, changed focus, started a family, like all of these really big
Whoosh.
sort of life
Well,
moments.
you just kind of said everything.
Sorry. I'm just impressed with everything that you've done. I had to build a
Well,
piece. But now in your own words,
okay. So the question was what?
what has happened since Killy? What about Kilimanjaro
Okay.
sort of redirected you or gave you new perspective?
Okay. So Killy for me was, well, first of all, Jasmine inspired me to get on the journey, which was
Mhm.
awesome. And once I joined the train, I don't know. I had so many experiences on that mountain. It
Mhm.
was insane.
Mhm.
Um, exploring my sexuality, exploring what I wanted to do with my life,
Mhm.
what I wanted next, many things. And then um, thereafter, I proclaimed something at the top of the mountain with Monica, actually,
Uh-huh.
because I was going to go to this like wedding with this guy named Charles, who's now my husband.
Crazy.
Yeah, I proclaimed that on the top of the mountain, and me and Laura we spoke, and we were talking about children. And she's like, you owe it to the world to have kids because your kids
True.
get to be like something on the planet.
Mhm.
And now I have 2 children that I've birthed myself. I have another stepson who I've inherited, and I love him too. And I have a husband that I proclaimed on the top of that mountain. And all I can say is like, I just remember days when we were like climbing and it was difficult, and we all had to regroup, and then reclimb.
Yeah.
And I just remember proclaiming every single thing I wanted in my life, and I did it. I did it on top of that mountain, and now, so my life is, I'm married, I have kids, and I'm still in the soccer world. I'm coaching a university here in Canada, and I'm a technical director of a club, which is really cool too.
That's amazing.
Women only, my club.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, I'm just trying to progress from here, and like pandemic is, halted most of the progress in the situation.
Right.
So here we are, and just really happy to still be connected to all you guys, and that's it. That's all I do. Yeah.
That's all I do. It transforms my entire world.
Yep.
By stating my truth, right? Like I got to the top of the mountain, realized what my truth was, stated it on a platform that was sort of undeniable, and then the things started to work better. And you know what I found interesting is that there were a lot of us who made sort of deliberate decisions about things we were going to change and what we wanted to go for. And then there was sort of the rest of us were like, wow, somehow things got better. I don't know why. I don't really know what it was.
Exactly.
About this group of people, or the experience itself, whatever it was.
A group of people, because the people I met on that mountain, I'm telling you,
yeah,
I will never, ever forget.
Yeah. Megan, how about you?
Unforgettable, that's for sure.
Because you came in as a total, and maybe that's another thing. Some of us showed up at Killy having known each other, and others were brand new. But how long did you feel new on the mountain, Megan?
Not very long at all. I mean, I'm kind of a reserved person until I start speaking to you, but we were in like a small group, and I don't think anyone acted like I was a stranger off the bat. And I think just when you have kind of a common goal like that, it's really hard to not just get close with the people you're around. I just kind of fit right in. The soccer world's kind of that way in general, but I think there was obviously something much bigger going on the mountain that I felt like I just kind of jumped right in.
No, exactly. And what happened when you left Killy? Like you were with LSU, right? When you started, or?
Well, actually, so I was at UNC Greensboro, and literally when I landed, my connection, I had a voicemail from my former head coach. I played at LSU, so I played for him. I had a voicemail, and he's like, "Give me a call when you got a chance." I was like, "Oh, I wonder what he's calling me about." And I don't think he knew I had just done Kilimanjaro, because no one really knew, because it was 10 days before I went.
Yeah.
And I called him. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I just landed. I just kind of climbed this mountain and did some stuff." And he was like, "Well, what do you think about coming back to coach at LSU?" And I was like, "Well, all right. This is a good day. I'm in." So about
that's amazing.
Maybe 3 weeks later, I'm coaching at LSU. Moved there. Life's pretty good. We had a good couple years, and then Rice University popped up, which is in my hometown. And in college coaching, it's pretty rare to be able to end up in your hometown and be around your family. So somehow within that time, I ended up doing the job I really like. I live 30 minutes from everyone in my immediate family, and kind of get the best of both worlds, which has been really cool. But I think to me, Kilimanjaro, just the whole trip, I was a year out of my playing career. I thought I wanted to coach. I always thought that, but didn't really have like this strong feeling behind it. And then we go on the mountain, and I'm like, look at all these people impacting, like, how can I not do this in some capacity? And it just really kind of solidified, let's do this thing.
Yeah, no, that's such a great story. Like I know someone really important has started writing books around like the power of saying yes, right? Like instead of sort of that automatic reaction that you had, like, oh no, I don't know if I can do that, or is there the right time? Is this the right time? Am I good enough? All of those sort of second guessing hesitations we have. Start saying yes, not to everything. Don't start, going off the walls and becoming a drug dealer or something, but or a trafficker. These things pop up sometimes. But to say yes to sort of the opportunities that you maybe still have a lot of question marks about, but you sort of are like, all right, I'm game. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, it's turned out all right.
Yeah, so far we like the outcomes. That's great. Jazz, are you going to need to pull out to actually do some coaching, or do you have a little more time?
I'm here, finally. No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right, awesome.
I just wanted. I was like, I think this will probably be a little bit better setting than my car.
Oh man, yeah, the look of the outdoors, amazing. So Marissa, you didn't get to actually show up on the mountain, but you have been part of all of the EPF stories since then. So why do you keep saying yes when I message you? I'm like, hey Marissa, how do you feel
So I'm
about
just
getting
as crazy as you are. Just well, yeah, I didn't get to, go on the big adventure, and to me it was hard. It was a hard decision too, but I used to coach before. I mean, obviously I went to nationals and I was successful, but I think for me after EPF and all of you guys going to Kili, I did it with a purpose. I understood there was a bigger purpose into coaching, into doing things right. It wasn't just for my team or the girls, but it was, in a bigger setting. And I figured, heard all the stories, and I was just, all in about it, because I think we're here in the world just to, make an impact. And to me, soccer was the way to do it. So I continued to coach. I kept coaching a lot, but just it was different, there was a bigger purpose. And now recently I am general manager for a pro team. Not really coaching them, obviously. I'm doing contracts and looking at players, which has been quite a learning experience. But for me, it was the way I can make a change, being in there, being a pro, being I'm the fourth general manager of the women's team in Mexico. I was the third. So it was a big deal, apparently. But
well-deserved big deal, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I didn't realize it was going to be that big of a deal until they announced it. And I did a press conference, and why not? And I had 400, 200 Facebook ones. And I didn't sleep for 3 days because I thought, what am I doing? I mean, I was living, a good life, an easy life. And now everything changed. It was just like, Megan, I just said yes, They called me on Wednesday. They told me it's yours if you want it. And on Monday, they were saying, I'm the new general manager. But for me, EPF has been about that, has been about there's a bigger purpose to all your decisions, and you can make a difference. And how can you make it better for the next generation of girls playing soccer? So that was a big change for me. I mean, I didn't go to Kili, but to me,
you were there. I mean, you were in you continue to be in all the WhatsApp groups, like even on the Kili ones, like
I did the playlist.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. But I figured I can make it, but I can still be a part of it. Because, I understood when I talked to you and Laura, I understood what it was that you guys were looking at. And for me, it was more of, I'm meeting someone that has the same perspective as I do.
Yeah.
So in my couple of years.
No, well, exactly. So I know all of you were players to different levels and degrees. What made you decide to go for coaching? Like, what was the pull? Was it sort of by accident? Was it a choice? Like, I want to be in the game. This is the best way to basically have my work outfit every day, be trainers and sweats. Like, what was it? Megan saying yes. It was the wardrobe. That's what I was going for.
Sweats. Sweat choices. I think when I turned 30, I swear to God, I was doing events. I used to do operations in sporting events, Pan American Games, Taekwondo Championships. And at the end of that, when I was kind of freelancing, I was starting to coach. And I had done it before, but it was always some I'll do this when I don't have another job. You
Right.
know, I don't have an event now, so I'll just coach. And I started getting into it. And seriously, when I turned 30, I thought, I want to make an impact, and I can do it with these girls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were already talking to you and asking for advice. And I thought, this is my call. I think
Mm-hmm.
coaching is a calling. I'm sure they can tell you. I think it calls you. I mean, it's not an easy job. I mean, it's good. To me, the clothes are awesome. I mean, can get better than that. But to me, it was that. It was just about how can I make an impact? And I call it a life crisis. Because, I mean, I had a steady job.
Very productive midlife
Yeah, I
crisis,
mean, I love
or
it.
quarter life crisis. Yeah.
But it was about, if I die, at least one of the girls can fly. And in my job, if I die, no, you know, they're just gonna grab the next person
Right.
and just do what
A
I
machine,
do.
a cog in the machine. Yeah.
Exactly. So I didn't want to do that.
I think for me, I had probably my first real female coach that wasn't like my mom when I was 7.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Was a woman named Tracy Noonan, who's a goalkeeper. I went into her camps every summer in high school, and they're like 12 goalkeepers, super personalized. Like, she was invested in my growth and
That's awesome.
really helped me. And I was like, man, she's kind of a boss. And I started working them when I got to college, but it was like to train. And maybe my sophomore year in college, I was like, man, I should do this. Like, this would be kind of awesome. Like, she's instilled some things in me and helped me improve in way more ways than just a soccer player. And I started to see those things that I really valued and saw how they came through soccer, specifically goalkeeping, and felt like I could do that for other people and wanted to. And it's just a really cool place to be every day on the field and trying to make your team better. And it's a really fun job for me too.
Yeah. There's something about that sort of sustained contact with people in a growth mindset, right? Like, we as a team are going to individually get better, but more importantly, like, collectively go together. And to be a part of that, I think it's intoxicating, right? It's like, once you get into that energy, it's this whole new source of adrenaline and passion and empathy, and those, like, it's a very human experience. It also, I mean, you guys are all top level competitors. Every single one of you are elite athletes in multiple arenas. And so to also have that duality of being like, I'm also part of something that's about seeking excellence and helping people find their own level of excellence, and to push themselves, and to be part of a team that really, in that supportive environment, right? I've been very lucky in my athletic career. I've almost always had this. And it's funny because that relationship is like, I didn't realize until, perspective was given of like how important those relationships were. Like, outside of your parents, outside of maybe a couple of teachers, right? Like, sport for most of us is something that we choose to do, where you choose to put yourself in an environment around people who inspire you and make you feel stronger and make you feel you are capable of anything. And what an amazing responsibility and sort of blessing, to use terminology, because that gets thrown around quite a bit, but just an unreal experience to be able to tap into that.
For sure.
Yeah. Sasha, you were coaching in school, right? Like, you started within, like, sort of the PE, technical schools and so forth, and then now have shifted into more exclusive coaching. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was originally like based out of LA. Now I'm in and out, but I'm not there yet at the moment. Long story short. But yeah, I was coaching like lower level than club, whatever, and now I'm
That's amazing.
coaching college, and this is like super different, and it's really interesting to like deal with like women, you know, girls who are like already there that I don't have to like, you know, take it from the grassroots to the
the taller grass
and
darker green. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely different, and it's in a weird space for me because I feel like I want to go play with them
of course,
every single day. I'm like, oh my god, let's go.
Yeah,
I want to go play. I want to jump in. I want to do this. I want to do this drill. I want to whatever, you know, because now they're in a space where
let me show you how to handle a 2-on-1. You attack me. This is how it's going to happen. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, son.
Oh man, it's so funny.
Yeah, that's been really a big transition from coaching like kids to coaching and teaching in elementary. Coaching has been a huge, I don't know, beneficiary for me.
Yeah.
Because I want to play. I want to play all the time, no matter what. But at this point in time, I'm like 37. I have 3 babies. I have a husband. Like I have
going on 25. Everybody knows
going
that.
on 22 or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been a huge transition, and now I'm actually like in the middle of my B license for Canada. Like I'm with Canada Soccer
Fantastic.
Association. So I'm taking that course, whatever. But it's also frustrating because it's like a male oriented like system. I would say. And it's like, okay, write your philosophy, do this, do that, like do videos on this and that. But there's like 0 females that are involved, and it's always difficult to just like it's like submit myself to them.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm there right now, but I'm just gonna say that to the lightest. So yeah, I'm gonna get my B license. Super cool. I get paid more, whatever. But at the end of the day, like it's still the same situation here in Canada. It hasn't changed much in the world, and I can only be an advocate for women. I'm a technical director of the women's side. I'm doing my best to like make sure that they can evolve. That's my words. And that's all I can do, really. And I don't have like a ton of backup, but I'm doing my best with what I got from where I came from, and that's it. So,
and just to clarify for the millions of viewers out there, Sasha's a bronze medalist in her country. We're talking about and this is something that you did, because you happen to be a phenomenal athlete and willing to work hard with anybody. So to be able to have that background, to be like, I am going to work the system. I'm going to find a way to evolve it. I think is the real testament to how much you care, and what a cool chance to sort of be back in Canada. Right? This is where I have an opportunity to make a push, a shove, a redirect to a certain extent, and see what happens. That's pretty awesome. And Jazz, you're coaching boys and girls. How's that going?
Yeah, well, here's the thing, you know, I love you, Sash, because she's like, I still want to get out there and play, and like legit, that's how we became friends. Like, she's like, oh, you want to keep playing? Oh, you want to keep playing? Okay, yeah, let's keep playing. And so it's really cool. I mean, I fell into soccer coaching actually very early. While I was in high school, actually. My coach, my favorite coach, he's this little Scottish guy who taught me the Brazilian style of soccer, and he just had me come out and start you know, helping his teams, the younger teams. And so I remember when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm never gonna be a career soccer coach. And here I am. So it's been really fun though, because I've got to coach like all different types, right? I've got to coach, you know, from the youngers, like literally like 4 years old to, you know, academies and high schools and clubs and all girls teams you know, all boys teams. Right now, literally right now, what I'm about to go coach right now is so cool. I get to coach, you know, U17 boys right now, and
That's
they're, you know, 16, 15 years old, and right, and for a lot of them, it's their first time having a female head coach.
That's fantastic.
And so it's been really cool, yeah, to play with that dynamic and to, you know, and I still, you know, because I do play, right? So, you know, when they see me do my own demos, right, they're like, oh, like, okay, like coach has got it, you know. um, but it's really cool because I think, and that's one thing I've always just really respected and enjoyed about EPF in general, was that it's never been a men versus women thing. It's always just been like, hey, how can we come together and figure this out so we can stop having to talk about equality and it's just there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. And actually, I think that's a nice transition to one of my next questions. And both Sasha and actually all of you sort of referenced it a little bit. From when you started coaching or sort of started getting really involved in that side of the game to now, what would you say are the most significant changes? And this can be for you personally, but also in the wider coaching environment. Like, we're looking at changes in the number of female coaches, changes in the number of female managers. I mean, and not just within soccer, not just within football, but there's little sort of trickle out for some of the other things. So from your perspective as a coach, like, what do you think has changed the most in, let's say, the last 10 years or so? Marissa, I'm going to start with you.
Well, okay.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Anybody can jump in, but there's a slight delay. So I hear silence and then I go into teacher mode. I'm like, and I'm going to call on you. Yeah.
Biggest changes in general, the number of women coaches are pretty much the same, which is
from
sad.
Mexico.
I tell people, yeah, I'm usually the only. I mean, when I coach, because I'm coaching and doing the pro thing at the same time, on the coaching side, I have been the only female coach for the past 4 years, playing at the level that we play. So that has been so hard, and it's hard not to see more women involving in those positions. However, me as personally as a coach, I think I take it not less seriously, but I'm just having a lot more fun. You know, I always thought I had a point to make, and I had to be this tough coach, and now I just laugh all the time. I'm really serious. You know, I like things done the right way, but I take it more easy on the girls at times, or on me. You know, it's okay if I lose. It's fine, because otherwise, before I used to get mad all day or 2 days. Now it's just a couple hours.
Silent treatment only for a day or two. It's way more reasonable.
Yeah, you know, and I don't like losing. I know everyone here is saying, I don't like losing. But to me, it's about the perspective I have on soccer too has changed. I think it's more of an evolved game. I'm more in the tactical game because, you know, I've been studying more than when I first started. And now my perspective changed too, because now I'm not only coaching, but I'm in a directive role in women's soccer. So the perspective changes, and it's about making an impact. But to me, I mean, soccer-wise, I'm a lot more tactical now because I know more than when I first started. And I just take it easy. I mean, I understand more what the girls are going through, and I don't have to prove a point to anyone anymore, because before I thought I did. So,
right. Well, I think that's part of our sort of hard ass DNA, right? And you're like, no, like there's no room for error, right? When we're trying to when we have identified a goal and we know the obstacles we're up against and sort of the level of proof and legitimacy we have to sort of constantly create for us to be taken seriously, right? One of the central things in all of our communities, right? And I think that is.
I don't know if everyone here has had that, but to me at first, I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I first started, because I actually coached a girl that Megan used to play with at LSU. But when I started coaching at that age, they were 15, 16. I was 22, 23. So it wasn't that big of an age difference.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to be like, I had to make a statement. But then
Yep.
it was
Yeah.
about, and the whole process has been about showing, number one, parents that I know just as much as a male coach will do,
Mm-hmm.
and the girls. Mostly their dads at first, though. So now I just don't feel like I have to prove anything.
I really don't have enough time and energy to continue to prove myself to you. I'm going to do my job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But first you have to prove yourself, because especially with your dads that, I mean, here in Mexico, obviously every dad knows soccer. It's a big sport. So you have to prove them that you know as much. Mm-hmm. And once they see the results and the development of the girls, they know, but it's hard.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely that buy-in phase, right? Like they're really like, and not just with the parents, but I think with the girls as well. And I think that's something that's probably harder about coaching older teams, like teenagers and up. And certainly once you get into college age, is that you're dealing with largely formed human beings who are going to have expectations of you and of their experience, and that really is it's much more of a dialogue than you would probably have with 6-year-olds.
Jasmine having, under 17 being the first remote, that's hard. And you have to continue, because what you said, oh my God, because you have to prove yourself to these guys. They're grown.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I will say on that. I love it. I love it, Marissa, because, at the same time, I think part of my advantage, Aaron, when you ask like what has changed, it's also like I'm definitely more secure as a coach, but I'm also a mom. Like I'm a mom to a son. So it's like
no, I've
there's
seen
also this like yeah. I'm like, so I'm just like, listen, like, and it's funny because I kind of look at them like my boys, and just, this what a beautiful opportunity to give them such a well-rounded look at a female, a different side, as well as, for me to maybe have that nurturing and compassion, but also hold them to a level of excellence that is maybe different than what they've experienced before. And I'll say two things. One thing personally that I know I've seen for myself grow is I know a little bit more of my superpower as a coach, like meaning so I'm very comfortable in myself, and I know that like I see people very well. So it's like I can see them, I can speak to them, because each player is different. And so to really know them kind of in that personal way is a bit of a superpower. So definitely like what Marissa was talking about, that confidence as you get older. Because, man, I would coach high school and they thought that I was the extra player on the bench, know?
Yeah.
So I literally would have to start wearing like business pants. Like I would wear business pants and a collared shirt to the game to be like, I am the coach, guys. No. But I would say, just as far as like what Marissa and which we were kind of alluding to, as far as the numbers of female coaches, one thing that I will say that's different, at least in my perspective, is the fact that like at least my generation, like the men that are in my generation, like want us to coach. They're like, where are you guys? And so I think that that's a little bit different that now, because a lot of us have played and we've played at top levels. They're wanting us to come out. Whereas before it was just like women coaches, who cares? Now I think they're like, yeah, like there's much more encouragement towards it.
That's awesome.
I want to hear what Megan has to say.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I'm really like in my first. I'm in like my first 5 years of it and figuring out really who I am and what I want to do with coaching, I think. But at the beginning, I felt like a lot of my coaching credibility with the players came from my playing career. So like, they're like, you look young. How old are you? And then I jump into a four-a-side because we need an extra goalkeeper. Yeah. And they're like, okay, I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
And it's like it required that. Whether it was only like my interpretation of it, or if they actually, it kind of needed that. But it did kind of feel like that my first bit at LSU and my first bit at UNC Greensboro. And now I'm like, I think I know what I'm trying to portray, and am just kind of like Jazz said, just a little more secure in how I'm going to come across and what is and how I can help them. But it's interesting in the college game because we're constantly working with clubs and recruiting, things like that. And I only come across maybe one female club coach per club here or there. A lot of our players, when we're talking to them, even at Rice, they're like, yeah, you're probably one of the first female coaches I've ever had. And that's still a common theme with people I coach. It's just wild. And so I think they're kind of trying to figure that out also, of how to take this information. And even I think the latest stats that came out with college were the whole staff of soccer is 50-50 men, but head coaches is like 20% women. It's significantly lower. And I don't know what the reasoning behind that is. Really is super clear because it's consistent with volleyball at the college level too. But it's just something that I didn't really notice when I was playing, that now I'm just learning and trying to keep it in mind, but really just do what I do despite it. I mean, it's something that I notice and think I'm treated differently, but it's just how can I maximize what I do with my players and show them that they can become more and listen to women that might be similar to them and have the same goals as they do.
The issue that you were able to touch on just there, and I saw both Sasha, well, actually all of you were nodding your head seriously, is that sort of dialogue between clubs and university programs, right? Like, I think particularly for the women's game on this half of the world, college has been an absolutely, like, or high school and college has been in like an integral element of growing the women's game because of Title IX, because of a lot of the other sort of cultural elements that we have in the US here. But the way that sport is practiced at the university level has really shaped the growth of the game. But that relationship between club and school is very distinct. And I think that particularly with the women's game, again, because you're looking at fewer opportunities to make that transition in many cases, but also how reliant we are on that relationship between the club coach, the club world that you live in, and the university world that you're aspiring to get to. Right. And I imagine that's got to be really interesting from a coach's perspective, because as a player, never would have crossed my mind. Right. I didn't play in a club high school program in the States. All of my club days came in graduate school, right? Like when I was in other countries. So I was like, oh, I was a walk-on to my university team. No one ever heard of me before. I was like, hey, I play. I can do those runs. Yes, done. I'm in. But it was, I was sort of a surprise. I didn't have any relationship with that mechanism, which has been so integral to how female athletes have been able to get to college level. And I think this is interesting because one of the things that Marissa's club does, right, Noria, like one of the real clear stated goals that they have is helping their female players make it into college programs, right? Knowing that is going to be a ticket for them to actually be able to afford going to college. And then to have both Sasha and Megan sitting on the other side now of the, like, what does that relationship with the clubs look like? How do we change not just the way the players come to us, but coaching worlds in which they are existing, in which there aren't any female coaches. And what an interesting thing that is. And all of us know Kim Smith, who I hope she's watching this right now, because I'm going to give her a massive shout out one of the things that Kim does, and she's now the head athletic director for a girls' high school in Southern California, but for years she's been part of an organization, which I don't remember the name of, that helps kids negotiate their own way to college programs. Right? So that maybe they don't necessarily have a club coach or an agent or somebody who's helping that. She is sort of like a volunteer that sort of says, hey, I've done this. It's hard. It's really a lot of crazy decisions. Let me help you sort of identify your priorities and find a program that matches what you're looking for. And so if Megan, I'm going to pick on you a little bit, since you're the most tightly tied to sort of the recent college recruiting space for the US right now, like, what is that like? Like, how does that dialogue work with clubs? Do you have set clubs that you go to that you know about? I remember seeing scouts on the sidelines. Yeah, Sasha too. Yeah.
It's tricky because it's such a moneymaker in the US, the club system. So a lot of these people will just tell you they want to send their players to big name schools, or they just want to be able to advertise that this is where my players go. Like, you want to come play for my club. And so you kind of have to develop these relationships with knowing the people that are genuinely trying to find the right fit for players, whether that's academic, whether that's the level of your school, if it's all of those things. So it's just finding the right relationships, I think, that you feel like they're trying to develop players the same way you are, in a genuine, just help them improve. And I think they're going to play the way you like to play. And once you have those, then you're kind of looking at those places more often, probably, and they're sending you players because they know that you're going to do them right also. But it's hard because then you find some that are, in a club you've never really heard of or operated with, or it's an international, and you're trying to get to know their character. And some coaches say they're the greatest, and they may or may not be. And then some tell you it straight up, and it's a great relationship, and then you kind of can go from there. It's a really unique process, I think, because there's so many schools now.
Yeah, good point, Sasha. Your turn.
Hey, Aaron, I just wanted to, if I may, just kind of say a little something, and then I gotta go set up actually to go coach right now.
Go do your job.
But I and all I wanted to say to that though, Megan, I'm so looking forward to listening to the rest of this and what Sasha has to say. Because on the club side, now that I've been coaching on the club side, that was definitely super new. When I came back into club a couple years ago, where I went to a tournament and I'm like, these coaches were like yelling at these 10-year-old girls, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And just like you said, a lot of it is a moneymaker. They don't really care if the kid really wants to play or is good or whatever. So it's been really challenging just as a coach, how do we make club better? So that way too, we always talk about that point of access. I know, right? But to have that point of access though for everybody, whether they can pay or not, because like you said, Megan, it is a moneymaker at the end of the day for a lot of clubs, and they're not really necessarily looking out for the players. They're just looking out for how can we make money and look good as a club. So I can't wait to listen to the rest of this discussion, but we are going to definitely solve some problems, all of us coaches together. I love you guys.
Thanks, Jazz. Have a great practice.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.
Talk to you soon, babe.
All right, Sasha, what's been your experience with the club college recruitment space?
Like she said, like Megan said, like it's a really, really unique situation because there's many players who have like the desire and the drive and all this stuff, and then there's clubs who some people can afford, some people can't afford, and now that I'm the technical director of the women's side of a whole club, it's almost like we just take on people because they're going to pay their fees. We take on people because they can afford the training that is given, whatever. But then there's kids who are like super, super talented and they just can't
Mhm.
afford it. And that part bugs me the most because like, even though I'm doing this job as I have this title, whatever,
Mhm.
it kills me softly because I want to just like help the ones who have a true desire and a true passion and a true like ability to play the game. I want to
Mhm.
help them so much, and I can't do anything about it because now I'm in the system, right? So,
Mhm. Mhm.
so that there's that part, and then for college, you know, personally, I didn't really make videos or anything like that. I got recruited. I
Mhm.
got picked up by many schools, North Carolina, UCLA, whatever, Syracuse, whatever. But now that I'm like seeing these kids like desperately sending in videos with
Right.
and they're just like so whack too. Like I watch them and it's like they're playing against like obviously you're gonna be better than that person. It's like
Right.
obese people who can't move and whatever. But and then all of a sudden you juke them and you scored a goal. Okay, cool.
Right.
But like I don't want to like it's really difficult for me to make selections. Let's just be
Mhm.
honest. And I really
Mhm.
hate tryouts. I'm really against tryouts right now. And my entire staff is male, and I'm the only female
Ah.
coach. And so pretty much everybody who gets selected is like off of my opinion. And like
Mhm.
I'm my own person, I'm my own player. I was a defender, I wasn't a forward, I wasn't a midfielder. I didn't do all these other positions. So
Right.
I can't necessarily like always like judge everybody like correctly.
Mhm.
But I don't have any other like help.
Right.
And that sucks a lot as a, you know, director slash coach
Mhm.
slash whatever. And so what I would say is like you asked the question like how is coaching now like I don't feel a lot of change. I still feel like all the animosity. I still feel all the stress. Like I still get all men's gear. They send me men's gear to wear and I still fight them. I'm like, listen, I'm a girl. I don't want to wear like long crotch pants. I wear like skin tight stuff from Europe. Like I'm 6
Right.
foot tall, but I'm a girl. Right. So I'm still fighting it, and I can't
Yeah.
say there's a lot of progress.
Yeah.
I think that I'm doing my part in the show,
Mhm.
but I don't really feel like there's a lot behind me that's like pushing it forward.
Yeah. And I
It's been
think that's right.
difficult. It's been very difficult now. So
Yeah, because it's really patchwork, right? Like there, like you said, there will be these sort of spotlights on programs that are doing really well or sort of initiative moves. But let there be no mistake, that is not the reality for the vast majority of scenarios out there. And I think it's really important for the women in this call and Equal Playing Field and the rest of the organizations out there to continue to advocate. Like, let's not rest on our laurels. We need to do better. We need to do better.
Yeah,
we
do.
have
And
tired
like
work.
if I had more women behind me, like
Mhm.
working with all the situations I'm encountering,
Mhm.
then I think that there'd be a better result. But right now, because so much of the soccer world is like male oriented,
Mhm.
it's really, really difficult. Like, you know, I'm working with other sports too. Like I do volleyball, I
Right.
do track, I do basketball, whatever. It's the same shit all
Mhm.
around. And we just need
Yeah.
more females that are like maybe equipped and
Right.
educated to
Because it's
like
also
maybe
not just some random woman, right? This is this other thing that is, yeah, it
This
can't
is the
just be
problem.
because you're female. There
Right. And
needs to be other qualifications.
Even the closest colleague, right? If I lean on
Right.
him,
Right.
right? At the end of the day, like he still has his own opinion about girls. Oh,
Mhm.
girls can't jump, or girls are, yeah, this is what girls do. Like, or okay, well, she probably has her period. She's acting this way. Yeah, oh, girls are
Right.
emotional. Like it's like the most like flabbergasting.
You know, it's
Whatever. But
interesting.
I'm one
Yeah.
person, and like I feel like I'm even taking on way too much right now in my life. Like
Yeah.
I'm taking on university,
You're
I'm taking
busy.
on college, I'm taking on club, I'm taking on everything.
Mhm.
Because I think that there's like a possibility for change, but we just need more like of us to
Yeah, absolutely.
collaborate,
And you see that,
create.
yeah. All of the literature that's come out around diversity and inclusion in terms of leadership roles, right? So be it a boardroom, a classroom, et cetera, the magic number seems to be about 1/3. right? Like if you can get 1/3 of your leadership, whatever level you're looking at, to be representative of that diversity that we all talk about. So gender, people of color, like whatever it is, 30% is the magic number, because that is enough to shift the people in the middle, right? And that's where you really start to see changes in transparency, work productivity, more open-minded innovation. And this is stuff that has been decades of research now through Harvard Business Review and people who look at leadership structures. And why is the diversity?
The energy required to create all that.
Yeah,
it's like a plethora. It's like heavy.
It's really heavy.
And after you've done your whole career, and now you're a coach or you're a teacher,
right,
or you're whatever you are, right? It's almost like you want to give up sometimes, because I'm just tired. Like I'm like, oh,
yeah,
whatever. I'm still going to do my job. I'm still going to do a great thing. I'm still going to impact the world.
But I would like to acknowledge that I am tired.
Yes, I am really tired about pioneering.
I like my oranges now.
Pioneering is exhausting.
So to come back, I'm looking at the clock and we're sort of nearing the hour mark. Luckily, we have space after us. So I'm going to ask a few more questions. We're gonna come back to Dina and penalties. And I'm so grateful that we have a goalkeeper here sitting in this. How do you coach for penalties? How do you prepare your teams for that?
From a goalkeeper perspective, a team perspective, all of it?
All of the above, yes.
All right. So, well, here's a fun fact for you.
Love facts.
I took the penalties for my college team. So I would go up from my mid-game and I took the penalties because I wanted to take them, which I think is the number one quality in choosing your shooters. Be the ones that want them. And that's the only real quality. All of them are capable. If you want it, you have the mentality, you're in my opinion. If you have more than 5, then that's when you can kind of choose who you think should go where. And maybe if they're a senior, more is on the line, those kinds of things. Goalkeepers, to me, they can do many things. Some guess, some will like step one way at the right time and then completely commit to the other side. And some will kind of try to read. I was a little bit more of a try to read the body language. People tend to, if you're right-footed and you open up your hips, I'm going to see it. It's a tell, and that's I'm going to make that save. So if I could find the one thing and it was there, I was going to do that. Whereas guessing to me was I just didn't feel like I was going to be successful. I know some people can be a little more successful. But that's really the biggest to me. The goalkeepers try to make one save. You got nothing to lose. You're a hero if you save it. If you don't, you don't, but more pressure's on the shooter. So
that's true.
If you have that mentality, you're pretty golden. And probably on top of that, we practice them constantly. If practice finishes 1-1, we do penalties and we do them from the half, like from half. Like you practice walk, you practice everything, games on the line. So practicing that moment and that feeling, I think, is a big deal also.
That's a great way of thinking about it in terms of the whole experience, right? Like, so it's not just sort of standing around joking and having it be a fun, there's probably that as well, but that can happen after or before practice. Whereas like in practice mode, like you need to train to deliver, because it is a hugely pressure situation. And in my talk earlier today, I was speaking with Kelly and Susie, and I was like, what about, you don't have to know anything about penalties or anything about soccer to look at a penalty and understand what is going on, right? Like that is war right there. That is war with yourself against another person who is between you and an objective. Like you don't, even if like, I love the idea of having like an alien come down and look at a penalty shootout and get stressed out, because it's a very stressful situation, because it's an immediate communication of both the human sort of mental struggle of what penalty really is, and at the same time the sort of bigger picture. You always know that it's representative of something more, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. How about you, Marissa? How do you coach your girls to take penalties?
Well, it's about repetition to me. Confidence. For me, confidence comes from practice. That's it. As Megan said, at the end, when you're playing competitive, anyone can take it. Because anyone can take that shot. It's about who wants it and who's ready. For me, when we're doing PKs, I'll ask, my first question is, who wants to take them? And then I have to choose if I only get two. Usually the most technical player can take it. Your forwards can take it. But for me, it's about attitude. I mean, I hated taking PKs, because perfectionist. I put a lot of pressure on myself. So for me, it was easy. So for me, it's confidence and a lot of repetition. Like anything in soccer is about repetition. So that you're confident. And about goalkeepers, I wouldn't know because I don't coach goalkeepers, but I will say it's the same. Anything in soccer is about repetition. And once you repeat that action over and over, it gives you confidence. And I think it's a lot of how do you deal with the stress? Because you said it's a stressful,
right?
Even if it's a friendly game,
there's no such thing as an unstressful
for the
penalty.
shooter because
I really don't think that's possible.
No, so it's about the girl who's puts a lot on herself and won't be able to take it. And even though as a coach, if one of the girls is going through something and missing it, it's not going to be, it's going to be hard on her. So let's not even think of her right now. So there's a lot of things, but to me, practice. It's it. Perfection and confidence.
You
It's
know
all
what?
about
My
attitude.
number one shooter with the amount of
about
practice she has had today, she can shoot first in my 5.
I would say that when it comes to this question, like personally, I have a crazy experience, right? So in 2002 or whatever, I was in World Cup, and we went into penalty shootouts against Brazil, and I was the last shooter. And I'm a center defender. Okay, but I 100% agree with all you guys about the confidence. It's just I told the coach, let me shoot, because to me in my head I'm a forward, but I'm a center D, right? So you can see it in his face. I hope you guys look it up on YouTube. You're gonna go see.
Oh, I'm going to.
As
soon as this is done.
The coach's face is like, oh my god, Sasha's gonna shoot. Oh my god. And then I shoot, and then I score it for the country, and then we make it into the World Cup final. And so I scored the goal, and I was the shooter. But 100%, both of you guys, it's all about confidence. It's all about mentality. And then obviously my roommate was Karina LeBlanc, who was an amazing goalkeeper, and Erin McLeod and Steph Labe. Those are my peoples, and they all told me yo, we just read you guys, right? I'm a right-footed shooter, like you said, Meg, and I open my hips, whatever. But my dad taught me how to walk up to the ball and make it look like I'm going to open my hips and shoot it to the right, and then goes to the left. And I shoot with the outside of my foot. Whatever. Long story short, I shot it straight down the middle of the goal, and I scored. And it was because both goalkeepers, I was watching the whole game, and it was the biggest moment of my life. I think there was 50,000 people watching. You guys should watch it. So yeah, shooting penalties, I do not know how to coach that. I do understand both of the things you guys said. But I do agree that if you have the confidence as a player, and I was a center D, I'm not the first choice, of course, but I had the confidence to do it, and I did it in front of my country, and I scored the goal. And I just think everything you guys said was super valid, and it's really about finding the people who want to do it. Because like you said, if this person has like a lot of things in their brain, or this person is going to be like devastated, or this person is going to be this, or girls are complicated, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you want to shoot it, let them shoot it. That's all.
It's a great place to start, right? And you actually like.
I'll send you guys the linky whatever later.
Yeah.
So you guys can
do send it, and we'll pop it. We'll pop it up in the feed at some point. But that you actually perfectly lead into my last question, and that is, what is the most memorable penalty moment in your life? Sasha has answered that question. How about you, Megan?
Mine actually has to be probably the one that ended my college career. I was on the receiving end of a penalty, and it was kind of a soft penalty in time in college, which means if she scores, game over, college career is over.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, let's go. And I still just like kind of remember it, and she faked me a little bit, and I don't even really move because I was the other way, and I just stuck in the middle. Done, game over. So it's actually a negative. That one will be there for a little while. I've gotten at this point, but I remember that one.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, it's the headspace, right? And I think that penalties always feel somehow existential, and wherever you're at in that one moment is, and so, and the other thing about sports is that sometimes you get beat. Sometimes that happens, right? Like, and I think that's another really important lesson that we get from sort of building out the mental toughness and resilience is like, look, you may take 1,000 penalties and only screw up 2, and those will probably be the only 2 you ever remember in your life, right? Like, and I think it's a very, in a way, within the women's game and the way that girls and women's psychology is typically around performance. I think that maybe it's not fair to say that we take it in a different way. I don't know, but I think that there is the mental side of the game. It's never more extreme than in that moment, and the reality is that it's sport. These things happen, and it's you've saved 1 million more, right?
I remember that. I do, now I've like learned a little more. In that moment, I wasn't really like willing to go stand in front of her and get a yellow card and cause
just to like.
And now I'm like, man, why not thrown out the last game? It's okay.
Last game, I could take the yellow. She probably would have screwed up. Yeah.
Maybe she misses it. Let's go.
How about you, Marissa?
I can't remember. I really didn't take them.
It could be any penalty that was important to you. So it could be a penalty you saw. It could be a Mexico penalty, a professional penalty that you got to see.
I mean, it was probably that I saw was probably the Real Madrid Champions League ones.
That's fair. That's a moment.
I was suffering, and then Asensio just grabs the ball and starts playing with it as he's about to shoot. Crazy, but as a player, I didn't take him. I mean, I remember, and I wasn't bad. I always had this trick. I knew how to shoot him, but I couldn't. I was too hard on myself. As a coach, I would say, to me, the best memory was we spent a whole year without losing a penalty shootout.
Nice.
So, I mean, it was really good. We were just confident. And
confidence breeds confidence.
But we were training them a lot. I mean, I obviously didn't show them how to shoot them. But, I know. I have a love-hate relationships with PKs. Yeah. And it all started, and I'm going to tell this story. It all started because when I was younger, my older cousin said that Gonzalez always missed PKs.
Ooh.
So, and they will all do it. So when it was my turn, I was like, I can't. I don't know.
You told me I missed them. So yeah.
They've been telling me I've missed them my whole life. I mean, I will do my practice, and practice I will get, all of them in, but it was about my family screwing with my head when I was younger. And
God love brothers. They're wonderful for that.
Well, 1 million cousins close. So,
right.
They all played soccer. So because one or two missed a couple PKs that will say we couldn't do them. So I was like,
Right.
no. You know, I'd rather don't tempt this. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm not going to do it with my team. So
no, that's great. I took penalties when I was playing when I go to play in tournaments in Europe, right? Like, so there were when I managed to always make them in when I had to do them in competition. I rarely volunteered, but I would always finish the job. But the penalty shootout I remember the most is when I think it was like 8 or 9 years old. And it was because I was the tallest kid on the field. And so they just like, look, you just go stand in goal. Let's see if you stop any. And for some reason, that's my key penalty memory. I was just trying to stretch out as big as possible. And it wasn't even like a normal goal, right? So it was like the little 5-a-side one. So I've always been quite tall. So I actually did cover quite a bit of it, but it was a very funny sort of like grounding moment. It's like, it's not that we think you're a good keeper. You're tall. We're just going to work with some natural benefits to this and see how it goes. But I'm looking at the clock. You guys are amazing. I haven't eaten in a while, so I am going to tie this up now, and let's see if we can do a little flash to Dina and sort of see where she's at. Just to see, share screen. Chrome tab, this one. Let's see what we've got. And there she is. Man, she is like almost a little over an hour and a half to go. Let me see if I can check on our social channel here to see how many kicks she's put in already. 7,000. She's at 7,000 penalties. Oh, I take that back. 7,100 as of 10 minutes ago. So she's just dominating that one. Really, really awesome to be able to see that, and really awesome to be able to see you guys again. Thank you so much for your time, for jumping in on this, and to everybody out there in the universe who's watching this at any given time. Thanks for joining us and Dina's world record for 2020, the great mental challenge, and physical for that matter. So it's the beauty of both, right? Penalties are both.
For real.
So with that, everybody have a great evening. Thank you both, Megan and Marissa, for also jumping in on a couple of our other conversations over the last 24 hours. And everybody have a great night and keep watching Dina for whenever you need a moment of inspiration. All right. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.